Hey Tech Fam, how's it going? Welcome back to another video. And on today's video, guys, I'm going to talk to you guys about something that's been on my heart that I want to discuss for you guys. This is the problem with thin phones and what can we as the consumers do about them. Because both the Galaxy S25 Edge and the iPhone Air are one of the two biggest phones in the market. And these could mean something later on in the coming years. And I'm afraid that these phones are going to make a negative impact on our buying decisions unless we act upon them now. So, I want to talk to you guys about some of the key things that these smartphones are losing internally and what can we as the consumers do about them. So, if you guys like this video, make sure you guys subscribe and click the bell for more videos like this. And also, make sure to leave a like, comment, and share this video with others as well. So, without further ado, guys, let's jump right in to one of the biggest heavy hitters of this video. Alright guys, let's kick off with the biggest topic of this video, which I'm going to call the thinness tax. Now, to sum up what the thinness tax is all about, the thinness tax is basically when these smartphone companies make their phone thinner and lighter, it all comes at a cost to us. And one of the things that these smartphone manufacturers have to make a decision on is, of course, the batteries. And the batteries, well, because the phone is so thin, it's either getting a battery tech, which we'll talk about later on, which I'll talk about shortly in this topic, or reduce the size where the phone battery can breathe. And both the iPhone Air and the S25 Edge don't have that new battery tech, which I'm going to discuss shortly. They have the same batteries we've been using for years on our phones, and they shrunk it down to the rest of their lineup, which I'm going to be comparing it to. For an example, I just want to start off with the newly announced and released iPhone Air, right? The iPhone Air, compared to its 17 lineup, has a 3149 mAh battery. Compared to the 17, that has a 3692 mAh battery. But then we compare it to the 17 Pro, that has a 4252 mAh battery. And we compare it to the big boy, the Pro Max, that has a 5088 mAh battery. So you guys can see that has the weakest battery of all of its three counterparts. Now again, you're gonna say some iPhone fans are gonna be like, well, Chris, the iPhones, we don't care about the battery size. They just last all day. I turn it on, put it in my pocket, watch my YouTube, put it in my pocket, I play me some Madden Mobile, I watch me Game of Thrones. These phones last all day. We don't care about the battery. Well, yes, iPhones, are known for having greatest battery life because of their internals. But you should keep that in mind that with having a thinner phone, you are losing out on potentially more hours of battery life compared to the whole entire 17 series. Like, if the 17 Pro can give you 8 hours and the Air gives you 5 hours, right? You want to go to the Pro because it gives you plenty more hours. Those hours go a long way, right? Little things go a long way. And the iPhone Air having a small battery life, yes, it could be small but mighty, but it doesn't mean you should be okay with it. Because we could be losing out on more hours versus, having something that could last me a whole day or day and a half. Again, battery life is subjective, but just something to keep in mind as well. But, like I said, we do have another contender, and that is, of course, the Galaxy S25 Edge. Now, the Galaxy S25 Edge being a slightly hair thicker than the iPhone Air, it still is a pretty thin phone compared to its S25 lineup. And the S25 Edge has a 3900 mAh battery. If we compare that to the S25, it is 100 mAh smaller compared to that phone at 4000 mAh. But wait, there's more. If we compare that to the the Galaxy S25 Plus, which that's trying to replace next year, the S25 Plus has a 3900 mAh battery. Yes, that has a 4900 mAh battery. That is significantly larger at 1000 mAh compared to the Edge. And of course, you want to go all out and extreme because why not? I did it with the iPhone, why not with the Galaxy? The Galaxy S25 Ultra has a monstrous 5000 mAh battery. And compare that to the Edge, that is 1100 mAh less than that. You see how it curveballs? While it's bigger than the Air, it's also smaller compared to its counterparts. And like I said before, battery life is subjective, but it's still something to keep in mind of because if these phones can give us more hours of battery life, I prefer having more hours than hours chopped in half. But yeah, that's not all about the batteries though, because while these both take a hit in battery size compared to its lineup, so does the charging speeds. And the Galaxy S25 Edge has a 25 watts of super fast wired charging. Super fast charging, I should say. Now, that's not bad, but if you compare it to, again, what's trying to replace the S25 Plus, which is going to be a 26 Edge next year, that's this year's S25 Edge has a smaller charging speed compared to the Plus. 25 watts on the Edge versus 45 watts on the Plus. 20 watts of difference. And same thing with the Ultra. They didn't change that with the Ultra. I'm pretty sure the iPhone Air suffers the same fate in charging speeds as well, because as we all know, charging our phones produces heat, and heat is bad for electronics. And especially making your phones thin, you have to make a sacrifice on efficiency. You know, if your phones get hot, well, we have to figure out can we make that battery smaller. And making your phone smaller, you have to cut down charging speeds so that way you're not having any thermals heating up. So, while the batteries are smaller than its lineups, so are the charging speeds. So that's one of the many things we'll talk about on the thinness tax. Let's go ahead and talk about the other topics I want to discuss in this video. Hey guys, this is me in the middle of editing my video. Almost forgot to mention this because I did talk about this before, but this is the fact of silicon carbon batteries. Now, there are a positive and a negative side to this is, no pun intended, because batteries have a positive and a negative side, but besides that point, with silicon carbon batteries, it's this new tech where most smartphone manufacturers outside the US are basically making their smartphones as thin and slim as they can. When there's silicon carbon batteries, they can accommodate a larger battery pack in that small form factor. Now that sounds all great and well, right? It does. However, it does alleviate the fact we're stuck with two big question marks when it comes to this new battery tech. The first thing is, what is the lifespan of this battery? We don't know if it's 4 years, 5 years, 6 years. Could it be less years than lithium-ion batteries currently in our smartphones? Could it be more? Could it be more years? We don't know the lifespan of these. These are just brand new. And I'm glad Samsung and Apple aren't jumping on this bandwagon immediately. Instead, they're still having these lithium-ion batteries in these phones for a very long time, and they don't have to be on the whole bandwagon with other companies from China and Korea are. But the second problem with these lithium-ion batteries is not only that we don't know the lifespan is, but these batteries also can cause swelling too. Now, thank God I don't have any silicon carbon battery phones that can confirm that. But that's what I've been doing my research on when I came to this video, is that these silicon carbon batteries tend to swell over time. And we all know that swelling is already bad enough on our phones. Like, older phones we keep for 5-6 years, we might wake up one day and you see your battery swell outside in the case. And that's some scary stuff. So, with those two big question marks that, these this new silicon carbon battery technology, I'm kind of good with these lithium-ion batteries in my phone, unless these smartphone companies can find a way to curb that and be like, well, these silicon carbon batteries, their lifespan is 2 times more or 2 times less. I'll wait for their official results and stuff, but we're left with uncertainty of these batteries. We're fine with lithium batteries for now. So, those are the two big question marks for silicon carbon batteries. Now, back to the video. So, continuing on the thinness tax topic, almost alliteration right there, let's talk about another compromise that smartphone companies have to make when making this phone so thin, and that is the removal of extra cameras. Now, both of these phones, the S25 Edge and the iPhone Air, both have 2 to 1 of the cameras missing in their counterparts. And let's just start with the Galaxy S25 Edge. The S25 Edge has a main camera, which is 200 megapixels, and ultra-wide camera at 12 megapixels. Now, if you compare it to the rest of its lineup, the vanilla S25 has 3 cameras: a main, an ultra-wide, and a zoom lens. And with the dedicated zoom lens, you get an extended range up to 30 times zoom, thanks to the optics in the telephoto camera. Now, with the S25 Edge, by saying, how can I zoom in if I can only zoom out with the ultra-wide? Well, these smartphone companies like to call zooming in with one camera, which is what most photographers like us say, cropping. Because all it is basically, you have a square camera that's a rectangle. And if you want to zoom in, guess what you're doing? You're basically drawing in another rectangle to get that zoom effect to it. And then when you zoom in more, basically just cropping out pixels by pixels till you can't zoom in anymore. And then you have a loss. Then you're losing details and clarity and colors, because you basically zoomed in as much pixels as you can. Cropped in much pixels as you can. So, while the S25 Edge you can zoom out to get a broader field of view, zooming in is not going to do you as much. And yes, while some say, well, you can't just do a 10 times optical zoom on the main camera sensor, that main camera sensor can only crop so much as it can. And I'm telling you guys this because, would you rather have more cameras than you need, or less cameras, or less cameras to look back on and say, man, I wish I had the extra camera to zoom in? So, yeah, the S25 Edge almost seems like it's trying to curb away the negativity into a thin phone, but it doesn't. And the worst offender of all is the iPhone Air. The iPhone Air has, I'm not kidding you guys, one single camera. One camera. We're back to 2012, 2013, where one cameras were basically the norm. One camera. And I love Apple's way of saying, well, it's not all that bad, because it's a 2-in-1 camera system. That's right, the iPhone 16e had the exact same excuse for having one camera, calling it a 2-in-1 camera system. And the way of putting this 2-in-1 camera system is putting a 1x and a 2x to 1x dialer on the main camera to act as you zooming in. And again, you're not zooming in, you're cropping. You're basically cropping into the camera sensor to run out of pixels to crop in on. So, it would have been nice to have an ultra-wide camera, but one camera is not that good enough. And I know most YouTubers are saying they can curve this by having it a much larger field of view, so you could see more, but also you could crop in, more on your subject. So that way you can say it's a versatile camera system. And that's kind of like a half-truth, half-lie type of thing, While most people can fall for that, and again, most photographers say that the iPhone Air is that if the iPhone Air had a more field of view, it would have been fine. Having one camera is not going to put in for it if you can't zoom in more than 1x, or zoom out then more than 1x. If you zoom out, like if you can zoom out on the iPhone Air, you could go back to 1x, but you can't go to 0.5 or 0.4x. So, with one camera, it's basically, you can basically put this in your head that you can't zoom out to get ultra wide field of view. You're stuck in that framing that Apple gives you, and while you can crop in on your subject, zooming in is just, zooming out, is at all-time loss. So, both these phones, again, along with the battery, but the thinness tax, we're paying for less cameras in these thin phones. And as, again, these companies always saying we're in the social media era of us doing these Facebook Reels, Snapchat stories, YouTube Shorts, all that good stuff. If you want to get more of what's in your field, and you want to post that on social media, with the iPhone Air, I'll do a demonstration. Let's say this is the iPhone Air, for example. You can't just press one button and go poop. You have to go like this. Okay, a little more, just a little more, just a little more, just a little more, just a little more. Okay, let me just put my phone. Let me just tilt it over so I can get more field of view. It's a lot of effort to get everyone in one shot. When with ultra-wide camera, all you have to do is just zoom right out. So yeah, that's all for the cameras. Again, it's another loss when it comes to making these phones thin. Let's talk about something that may or may not have an impact when it comes to social media. Alright guys, so the last part of this thinness tax topic are the speakers. Now, the speakers on a thin phone are very compromised as well. And again, the iPhone Air just takes the worst L into making a phone thinner and lighter. And, when it comes to features as well. So, we'll just start with the iPhone Air for an example, because why not? The iPhone Air has one speaker. Again, are we back in 2013, 2012? I thought we were done. Like, stereo speakers are phenomenal. If you don't have a phone that has that, I recommend you drive to your Best Buy. If you see the iPhone Air with one camera, or the S25 Edge with two cameras, go on YouTube and just pick any video to, respectfully play and just to get a feel for the audio. If they allow you to do it. I'm not sure if they allow you to touch your displays to play a YouTube video. But, once you go stereo sound, it's hard to go back. Because stereo sound, just like for most people who have these speakers in their houses and all these subwoofers, you're getting surround sound. And that surround sound is coming from multiple channels from those speakers. Because you have one speaker here, center speaker here, speakers up top there, speakers over there, speakers over there. With a smartphone camera, with a smartphone speaker, you're getting that sound as if you're in the actual scene itself with two different speakers. One on the earpiece as the amplifier, and one dedicated speaker on the bottom for stereo sound. Now, as a throwback, HTC done stereo speakers better, and I know Sony is still, carrying on its legacy by having their stereo speakers on the front glass, on the front of the phone, but that's nonetheless. The iPhone Air having one camera, and not one camera, having one single speaker. Yes, Apple made a genius move. Instead of having the speaker be on the bottom to easily muff it up, they have the speaker and the earpiece. That speaker also acts as the earpiece as well on the top. So, yeah, there's more of a chance, there's less chance of you muffling it. If you hold it like this, and you hold it like this, you're not muffling that speaker. However, again, just for a good sound feeling, you want to go to a stereo speaker setup on your smartphones that has two speakers. I know some tablets have more than two speakers, with like 3 or 4 of them, but trust me, once you go stereo sound, you can't go back. And actually, the Galaxy S25 Edge does not suffer from a loss of speakers, but rather what these both are compromising is the overall quality. That fullness and richness when it comes to listening to music, or watching that YouTube video, or your favorite TV show. You're losing out on that fullness because, again, making it so thin, the chamber for the speaker is not going to have enough air to push out to get into your ears. So the chamber is going to be much smaller, and therefore you're losing out on bass. And trust me, you don't want to miss out on such good bass when it comes to music or your TV shows or anything of the sorts. So, again, both the S25 and iPhone Air both have no bass when it comes to the speakers, from what I heard. And also, while the S25 Edge does have a stereo speaker setup, which I will applaud for that, the iPhone Air is going back to 2013 because it's homesick. It needed to fit in with having one single speaker. But that's all for the thinness tax. Let's get on to the next topic, which is going to be about the pricing. Alright guys, now we talked about the biggest topic of this video, which was the thinness tax. Let's bring it on to our second topic I want to talk to you guys about this video, and that is the unbelievable pricing. I cannot even fathom that these phones, because it looks so cool and then so thin and light, they are the priciest piece of technology I've ever seen. And that has to do with the price to value. Now, the price to value of the Galaxy S25 Edge, that price is at $1,099. Do you know what compromise you're getting for $1,099 compared to all the other S25 series? You're getting less battery, as I mentioned. You're getting less battery charging speeds. You're getting one less camera. And that's pretty much it. And also, you're losing out on some sweet bass when it comes to listening to music respectfully on your stereo speaker setup on your phone. 4 things you're missing out on. 4 big compromises of that phone that you're paying $1,099 for. I cannot believe that my entire self, man. I cannot believe that Samsung is willing to give you more money for less features. They're giving you a compromised phone with a hefty price they want you to pay. Oh, so you want the thin light phone, huh? Yes, I seen you picked it up. Yes, it's the thinnest, lightest phone to date. Oh, cool. How much did that phone cost? Oh, it cost $1,099. You're kidding, right? No, $1,099. That's starting, right? Yep, that's starting. $1,099. If you want to get next door size up, you're paying more. Okay, I'll look at your other, counterpart. I'll have to look into that. I'll be right back with that. $1,099 starting is absolutely unbelievable and ridiculous. When that phone announcement came, that phone should not have been priced at $1,099. That phone should have been priced at around $800 or $900 maximum. Not $1,099. That is expensive. And if you want more cameras in your phone and want to pay less, well, guess what? The S25 Plus is by far cheaper. It's cheaper. It starts at $1,000. You're getting 3 cameras. And yes, while you're losing out on the thin and light part of it, you're also getting, more value, and it's matching its price. With the Galaxy S25 Edge, its price to value ratio does not make sense. And it doesn't make more sense with the iPhone Air because the iPhone Air is, while it's cheaper than the S25 Edge at $1,000, you're missing out on 2 cameras, a smaller battery. Well, you have a smaller battery. Slower charging speeds, most likely. And audio, because you don't have stereo speakers, and you're probably not getting that fuller audio experience. Again, it's 4 key things you're missing out on. Why should we be paying a whole lot of money for a compromised phone? I don't know. This is just getting way out of hand. Samsung, Apple, get together, guys. We need to end this right now. We absolutely need to end this. So, that is, for that part. And let's talk about the second part of this video, which I titled, The Problem with Thin Phones, What Can We Do About Them? So, as the consumer, what can we do about them? Well, I'll be right back with that. So, here's what we could do with these thin phones. And with this shift in technology, here's some things we can do. And it's simply 2 things, right? Number 1 is simply don't buy them. While they look cool to see, again, I'm going to go with the saying, vote with your wallet, not with your heart. If you see this phone, it's thin and light, and you look at the price tag at $1,099 or $999 for the Air, vote with your wallet. If you have a good phone, you don't need to buy it. You don't need to buy it at all. We need to just say no to these phones and say, nope, I don't want them. They look cool. I want hands-on on them, but I don't want to unbox it, swap my SIM, and have this be a personal phone and not paying a hefty price. You can look at from afar, but that's it. Put your hands in your pockets and do nothing else. If a rep comes up to you and says, oh, you interested in the iPhone Air, right? Just say, I'm just looking. I'm just looking. It's a cool phone, but I'm not buying it. Just say that. They'll respect it. They're not going to pressure into buying it. They're just going to ask you questions on it. They give you some things. And again, if they say this is the thinnest and lightest smartphone to date, it's very ultra light. It feels like nothing in your pocket. This is the biggest shift in technology to date in our Apple ecosystem. And I recommend it if your type of person doesn't want every phone in your pocket. That sounds, they're trying to reel you in around that, right? They're trying to reel you in. But don't be the bait for them. By not being the bait, just say, I'm sorry, this phone's not for me. Thank you for your help. And that's it. So that's the first thing we could do, is just say no to these thin phones when it comes to buying it. However, there's also, if you're in need of an upgrade, the second thing you can do is, I mentioned this before, look at its counterparts, right? If look at its counterparts. If you want something that has more cameras, you're a productive user, you want something that can reflect the sunlight, has faster charging, and all that stuff. Well, if you're coming from a Galaxy, if you're coming from a phone that has, 3 cameras, you want one more camera and a bigger battery, and you can afford it, Galaxy S25 Ultra, baby. Can take you there. Again, bigger battery, faster charging, has an S Pen, anti-reflective screen, titanium build, it's sturdy, you have an S Pen. You're not gonna miss out on this. Trust me. You're gonna have this. You're gonna not regret this phone. This phone is awesome. But again, might not be for you. You can get the Plus. Same size. It's the same size. You're getting one extra camera. You're getting speakers that sound pretty good because you're not missing out on bass. You're getting faster charging. And you're getting a bigger battery to go with it. So that's it for there. Or if you want just a small medium-sized phone, the Galaxy S25 is the way to go. The S25, you're still getting a bigger battery, one extra camera, and while it is smaller, it doesn't mean it's bad at all. Yeah, so if you're doing that kind of trend, just get the phone. Just like the other counterparts. Same with the iPhone Air, right? The iPhone Air, you have the 17, the Pro, and the Pro Max, right? The 17, I'm just gonna call the best value for your phone ever, right? That phone has a high refresh rate display. It has 2 cameras, yes, but also you get the dynamic island. Getting USB Type-C. You're getting MagSafe, wireless charging. That phone's gonna give you that. That phone is basically the best value, right? Last year, for the 16, that had a screen size that was ancient. That had a refresh rate that was ancient. This year, it's the best value, and I recommend it if you're looking for a phone that works, right? If you just want a phone that you just want to do your normal stuff on, the iPhone 17 is the way to go. However, if you're more a photographer, an enthusiast, you're a content creator, or you're just the person that wants the most out of your phone as best as possible, and you want most if not all the bells and whistles, you have the Pro and the Pro Max. The Pro starts at the same price as the Air, but you're getting more battery and 2 extra cameras and another speaker and an anti-reflective coating. I think the Air has anti-reflective coating, but you're also getting an extra speaker to get that full stereo speaker setup when listening to your media. Again, you have the Pro Max, which is bigger, but again, if you want something that just works, the 17 works just as fine. If you want something that gives you a little bit more for your buck or similarly priced, you have the 17 Pro and the Pro Max. But yeah, that is what you can do with these phones. Again, do not buy them. Again, let's vote for wallets, guys. Let's look it from afar. Let's not get tempted into, all of these. Well, it's thin and light. It fits in your pocket. Trust me, it's not gonna make your purse or your pocket feel like a gold brick. Again, they're trying to get you on that. But here's my final message I'm gonna send to Samsung and Apple before I end off this video. Alright guys, this is what I'm calling my letter to Samsung and Apple. And I'm going to take my time saying this because this is very important to both these companies. Dear Apple, dear Samsung, you are the two major companies in the United States. We do not want your thin phones whatsoever. We do not want them at all. For the price to value ratio, the features you're missing out on, all because of a thin and light profile, does not make sense whatsoever. We the consumers want better. We want better features, more performance, more endurance. Not a compromised phone that we end up paying more and more of. Don't give us less features for more money. It should be more money to match the value. We should not be paying more money for less. We should be paying equally, if not less, for what we're getting. This is unacceptable, and I know you guys have a pipeline for an S26 Edge and possibly an iPhone Air 2 for the iPhone 18 series next year. But for the year after, guys, let's just end the thin phones era. Samsung and Apple, no more thin phones. We don't want them. We don't care about them. We're going to vote for our wallets. If this hurts your market share, so be it. Alright. That's my message to Samsung and Apple. Let me know, guys, what you think about this video. I just had to get this off my heart and my chest because all these thin phones are full of compromises, and I want you guys to, have that mindset when it comes to buying a new phone or buying it or looking to trade in. Again, we should not be paying more money with less features, right? We should be getting something that's equal in value to price or more that gets along the way. But let me know, guys, in the comment section down below. And yeah, let's go ahead and wrap this video up. Alright guys, that's going to do it for the problem with thin phones and what can we do about them. Hope you guys liked this video as much as I did recording this. So if you guys did, make sure you guys subscribe, click the bell for more videos like this. Was it like, comment, share, follow me on social media for updates to my channel. Thank you guys so much for watching. This is Tech with Chris, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.